Well, right now, today, there is some pretty serious concern in Beijing that the plan they had in place to cut pollution there is just not doing the trick. Despite the program that the city has, they have closed factories, stopped construction, they've been taking cars off the road. The blanket of haze has actually gotten worse. You look at these pictures and you know what they're dealing with there. Just over a little over a week before the games begin, the city there is launching some more intense efforts. What does this mean, though, for the Olympic athletes? What if you're going to plan to run a 26-mile marathon there? Well, Dr. H. James Wedner is the Chief of Allergy and Immunology at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. Doc, thanks for being here. Can you explain for lay people like myself, what is it that's such a hazard? What's in that pollution and what it would do to lungs, I assume?
That's one of the problems. The elite athlete has actually two problems. One is what's in the air, which is ozone and nitrogen oxides, which are toxic to the lungs. They also have particulates, which are bad for your lungs. And the other problem, the elite athlete, is that they breathe much more than you do. So the elite athlete is probably taking in, if they're a long-distance runner, as much as 5 times as much air per minute.
Wow.
So they're taking in a lot more, and that's bad.
And I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that that makes it a lot more difficult when your rate of exertion is what theirs would be in one of these races, for instance.
Absolutely. Remember that these athletes have not practiced in this kind of an atmosphere. They're practicing at nice, clean, usually at altitude air. And then they go into the Olympics where they're breathing the same amount of air, but it's toxic air. And so that's going to be very bad for them.
Already we've seen one of these runners, long-distance runner, an Ethiopian, Haile, I'm going to say his name wrong, Gebrselassie, who's well-known, has held many world records. He's already said he's dropping out. He's an asthmatic as well. Does that surprise you, and would you expect to see more if this problem does not clear?
No, it doesn't surprise me. These atmospheres are even worse if you're an asthmatic. And remember that there are a number of the elite athletes at the Olympics are asthmatics. And this is just the kind of atmosphere that is going to really set off an asthmatic's lungs.
Yeah,
so they're going to cough and they're going to wheeze. And I would expect more athletes are either going to drop out or may have problems at the Olympics.
Wow, what a disaster that would be. You know, interestingly, an American triathlete, Jared Shoemaker is his name, he said he has been incorporating a mask basically into his training regimen, and he says he thinks it's going to work fine. Does a mask work for these kind of particulates?
It depends on what kind of mask you have. If you have a mask which will filter out particulates, that's half the problem. If you have a mask that also can filter out the ozone and some of the nitrogen oxides, that's going to help a great deal. But many of our athletes that I've worked with don't like the masks. They feel that it impedes their breathing. So you have to have a mask that you've worked with over a period of time and not one that you're just going to use for the Olympics. Otherwise, it may really decay your performance.
Dr. James Wedner, WashU School of Medicine in St. Louis. Doctor, thank you. That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's a little frightening for all of those athletes there.
Well, and the frightening thing is that they had that pretty strict plan in place in Beijing, and it really didn't seem to make that much of a difference. They say a lot of it depends on the weather. If they get good rains, winds, that kind of stuff, it can clear out. But they'll put this more significant plan in about 48 hours ahead if they think there's going to be a problem.
They got to shut down everything. Just shut down all cars, all manufacturing plants for the safety and health of all the athletes. All right.
Fox News Channel is committed
to providing viewers with more factual information
in a balanced, fair presentation.
Fox believes viewers should make their own judgments
on important issues
based on unbiased coverage.
Our motto is, we report,
you decide.
Our job is to give the American people information they can use
to live their lives more effectively.
And our job is to tell them the truth wherever that truth falls.